Hacksaw Ridge is directed by Mel Gibson, written by Robert Schenkan and Andrew Knight, and stars Andrew Garfield, Teresa Palmer, Hugo Weaving, Vince Vaughn, Sam Worthington, and Luke Bracey. And Hacksaw Ridge is the true story of Desmond Doss, a pacifist medic who fought against the Japanese in World War II and refused to touch a gun. And this movie looks at his struggle to be accepted for his beliefs and his horrific experiences on Hacksaw Ridge in Okinawa. Now, Hacksaw Ridge was of course nominated for 6 Oscars at this year's Academy Awards, including Best Picture. I've seen this movie twice now, and my opinion of it hasn't changed that much. I have a sort of unpopular opinion with Hacksaw Ridge. I think it's a really good movie, but I just don't think it's great. For me, it doesn't really tie together all of its stray elements, but it does feature some incredible action sequences and celebrates a truly inspiring hero. First things first, this might be the best performance that Andrew Garfield has ever given. It's right up there with his performance in The Social Network. He is just so good here. You get over his accent really quickly because beyond the accent, there's a real genuine charm to him and just this unbreakable inner strength that is so easy to admire. And while you're watching him, you just feel so much pride and you stop seeing Andrew Garfield, you just see this character. And everyone in this movie is really good, but no one really outshines Andrew Garfield. However, the one person who almost steals the entire show is surprisingly Vince Vaughn. He is the sergeant in Desmond Doss's sort of infantry unit, and he's just so funny. He's like Arlie Ermy from Full Metal Jacket, but at the same time he plays it very seriously. So in the second half, when they're at the battle at Hacksaw Ridge, you can tell that this guy really just cares about his troops. Now that's the thing most people will talk about when they talk about Hacksaw Ridge. This is a film that's clearly split into 2 distinct halves. There's the first half where it's Desmond growing up in Virginia and trying to convince people that he should, be sent along with the other troops. And then the second half is the actual battle at Hacksaw Ridge. And I personally love the contrast between these 2 halves. I like how the first half is very idealistic and shows an almost cheesy sort of, home life. While the second half is just absolute horrors of war. And through it all, it's amazing to see Desmond's resilience throughout this journey. It's amazing to see this character develop. My issue, though, with the writing is in the other characters, particularly in the first half. After that first half, they're just dropped completely and they never really factor into the events in the second half. And some people might not have a problem with this, but for me, this is one whole movie, not 2 separate episodes, so it was disappointing to see that, the things that were built up in the first half were just kind of, left behind. Still, I do really enjoy how even the pacing shifts in the second half. John Gilbert's editing just goes totally insane as soon as they get to Hacksaw Ridge. It's frantic and confusing like a war zone should be, and there's some incredible suspense here as you watch Desmond, run around trying to save people without a weapon. And it took me a while to have that sink in, but really think about that. This guy's running around with like open fire around him, and he has nothing to defend himself with. That is insane. Now, Mel Gibson clearly has a lot of affection towards Desmond Doss, and he treats this character with a lot of respect. And that's really important for a biopic like this. But of course, Mel Gibson really shines when it comes to the action scenes, and they are incredibly entertaining. And what's impressive is that he does so much with such a limited setting. Hacksaw Ridge is really just one stretch of land, and yet he never makes the action feel repetitive. He makes the expanse feel endless. However, this is not a perfectly directed movie because there are some silly moments in the action that I just cannot defend. Like, they're just really funny unintentionally. But my bigger issue with Mel Gibson's direction, this is something a bit more abstract. I understand people might not have a problem with this, but for me, there's no fixed point of view in these action scenes. For me, you're not really seeing the battle through Desmond's point of view. You could make the argument that you're seeing the action from the entire troop's point of view, which would be good if any of the other soldiers were developed at all. But instead, you can't really tell each of them apart. You don't care about the other soldiers, which is not a good thing for a war movie. So I ended up feeling kind of detached because I wasn't seeing it through any real point of view or any point of view that I cared about. so I never really felt like I was in there, like, you know, like Saving Private Ryan or something. However, like I said, most people probably won't mind because the action really is great. Again, it makes great use of the landscape by using a lot of smoke and uneven terrain to mask the fact that the place where they filmed probably wasn't really that big. The makeup effects are really graphic and make you feel the pain. But again, there are some laughably CGI elements that only really come up like a couple of times, so I won't really hold that against the film as a whole because in the big picture, they're kind of negligible. But the sound in this movie is fantastic as well. The sound mix is chaotic. All of the sound effects have as much impact as they should have. And there's some great Mel Gibson-y moments where the music rises up triumphantly from the cacophony and you just really feel good. So again, as a whole, I think Hacksaw Ridge is a really good movie. I just think it's a little bit overrated. I think people are giving it a bit too much credit. I mean, it is, you know, super entertaining. It's near impossible not to be entertained by this film, but you know, there are people talking about how it's better than Saving Private Ryan, like these other war movies, and I'm like, maybe not. Like, there are clear flaws here that did affect my viewing experience. I know they probably won't affect a lot of other people's experiences, but that's my opinion. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Hacksaw Ridge. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Whatever you guys think, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.